Hello again, fellow podcaster, and welcome back to Pod Theory. I am your host, Jason Cercone, and today I'm going to share a simple exercise for coming up with content ideas. When you initially launch your podcast, you more than likely have a lot of ideas for content. Your best move is to sit down and list out every possible idea for an episode that you have. Now, don't worry so much about attaching a guest to each idea. This is something you can do later if you choose. The exercise is to get your ideas out of your head and down on paper so you can begin to develop them. Now that you've emptied out your mind and built your initial list, you've probably got some great content to get started with. But what happens when that list is exhausted? You don't want to put yourself in a position where you're scrambling for an episode and potentially compromising the quality of your existing content because you rushed putting something together. I've made this mistake before. Believe me, that content will stand out. One of the reasons podcasts fail is because the creators run out of content. They don't plan ahead, and it becomes easier to skip a week or two because they don't have anything new lined up. Eventually, podcasting becomes less and less of a priority, and then their show fades away. Fortunately, there's a very easy exercise that I do daily to ensure my list of episode ideas is always growing, and spoiler alert, I'm going to share it with you today. This exercise only requires a few minutes of your time and will not only give you content ideas, it'll keep you sharp as you continuously do research on your niche and your industry. So, let's say, for example, you release one podcast a week. That means your task is to add one new episode idea to your list per day. Take weekends off if you want, but since it only takes a few minutes, I'd do this on the weekend too. Now, if you really don't want to work on the weekend, do 3 on Friday and then kick back with a tasty beverage on Saturday and Sunday. It's your world. The point is, you're adding anywhere from 5 to 7 new content ideas to your list for every one episode you release. For Pod Theory, I'm releasing 5 episodes a week. This means my daily exercise requires me to generate 3 new ideas for upcoming episodes. When the week is over, I've crossed 5 episodes off my list, but I've generated 21 new ideas for the future. Now, this may seem excessive, but it's comforting to know that my bank of content ideas are overflowing with choices. I currently have an abundant list to choose from as I plan out upcoming episodes, and it continues to grow by the day. So how do you do this exercise? Well, there are several ways. Probably the easiest is to just brainstorm. Think about your existing content and what you'd like to add to it. You can ask your audience. They're always going to tell you what they want to hear. Put out a poll or just flat out ask them, what do you guys want to hear on my podcast? Take their suggestions and build on them. You can refer to blogs and videos and other podcasts. Keeping your ear to the street is going to help you find all sorts of content. Always be looking for ways that you can develop your content, and always look for sources that can help build on those ideas. You can search hashtags on Twitter. I get a lot of ideas for new content by checking out tweets and joining conversations under various podcasting hashtags. The one thing you need to make this exercise work for you is discipline. You need to commit to performing it daily. If you miss a day, you need to generate 2 ideas the next day. In my case, if I miss a day, I need to generate 6. Now, if you're like me, you want to be proactive, I've worked ahead and I've generated a week's worth of content all at once, which means I put down 21 new ideas in one sitting. This is pre-batching my batching, if you will. The punchline here, never let your content well run dry. And that's going to run out the clock on this episode of Pod Theory. I'd love to hear how this exercise works for you. Shoot me a message on Twitter or Instagram at Jason Cercone and fill me in once you start implementing this into your practices. And if this drill is beneficial to you, you can thank me with a rating and a review telling the world how it's helped you out. Good talk. I'll see you back here next time. This has been Jason Cercone on Pod Theory.